Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. This episode, I don't even know how to describe. I felt like things needed to happen at a certain speed because they only had 5 episodes to sit there and kind of wrap this thing up. And I guess at the same time, kind of leaving you wanting more. So I thought they did a somewhat decent job the way everything wrapped up. Certain things, like when we get to the standoff with Megan, and she has the gun on Hope and Sierra and Ben and everything like that. She tells Michael to shoot her, and you can tell the look in his eyes, like he can't pull the trigger. Now, at some point, he collapses, probably due to a lot of loss of blood. So the gun drops, and both Hope and Megan race for the gun. But Megan gets there first and starts shooting at Hope. Now I'm looking at this whole thing and I'm like, you know what? I get it. Action is not their forte. But I'm like, boo, you were literally 5 inches from Hope, and you're telling me that you just somehow missed all those shots. So she starts running off. Ben chases after her, and I'm just like, is he good at catching bullets? Because I don't understand, why are you running after a person with a gun? I don't get that. Anyway, she got away anyway. So yeah. So at the gala, eventually Steve and John, come in there with guns and stuff like that, and they grab Wendy. Like, we want the prison, we want it now. And I'm not gonna lie, the way this played out, it I don't think they played it out the way that they thought that they had in their minds. Because they got a gun to Wendy, and Gabby's like, no, you gotta sit there and give him the prison. And I'm sitting there thinking, if Gabby didn't say anything, how long would it have took before Shin decided, you know what, my sister's life is more important than this prison. So maybe I should just sit there and give it to him. But, she says it a couple of times and he actually gives it to Steve. Um, Now, at some point, Steve is like, listen, I'll cover your exit. You'll be good to go. And, John kind of runs out. I guess Steve gets distracted and Wendy, is able to get a hit off of him and, Trip and Joey, grab him. So at this point, they both got a hold of him. But for some odd reason, Wendy is still holding the gun towards Steve. And Gabby is all like, no, Shen, she got this. She's totally a badass. And I'm like, she's not really doing anything. I mean, yes, she has a gun to him, but it's really Joey and Trip that are holding this guy in place. Now, the bullshit that they're trying to figure out what's going on with him, what's wrong with him and everything like that. And, Steve makes a dig at Trip. Steve was like, oh, you might want to let your little girlfriend, stop pointing a gun at my face. And Trip was like, oh, it's not my girlfriend. And Steve was like, well, it's probably for the best. They usually they usually want up dumping you. And I was like, oh, okay. Damn, we didn't need to go there. I felt that. Jesus Christ. John runs into Marlena, and at some point, he tries to, um, she tries to talk him out of it, tries to talk him down or whatever. But Paul and Andrew get there, and, John, pushes Marlena towards Paul, and he runs off, and eventually they want to, no, they didn't actually go after him. They lost him in the crowd. But they were able, Marlena was able to somehow deprogram Steve, And after his apologies and everything like that, he gave Andrew and Paul, the coordinates to where Megan, will be held up at. So they get there, and Paul has a heart to heart with him to try to get him to stand down or at least kind of freeze or whatever. And Megan's like, "Yo, you need to sit there and take those two out." But Megan don't have patience after a while. It's just like tried it with Harrison, and now it's like John's just not listening. So she pours some sort of gas into the room, and she runs out. And Andrew's able to sit there and subdue him. Eventually, they get him back to Marlena, and she deprograms him. He says a couple words, and they're just back off to Salem. Now, I don't know how long it was between Steve and Kayla leaving Seattle and going back to Salem. But when he got back to Salem, because I watched it out of order. When he got back to Salem, it's like his face was healed up and there was no like large gashes in his face. And I get it. That's kind of like their way of making it look like they've been hurt and beat up or whatever. I'm like, those are some deep gashes. It's amazing. You just went on an airplane, you got off, and I'm in Salem. I'm healed now. Like he's not there doing fixing strollers or cribs or whatever. I'm like, all right. Now Wendy, I had her, she got a chance to sit there and talk to Joey, and she pretty much kind of turned Joey and Trip down, saying that she didn't want to sit there and come between, two brothers. I'm like, okay, cool. That's respectful. I didn't understand why you kept playing them, playing off of them, oh, you're both going to be my dates or whatever. And it's like, I'm glad you did the right thing, but it's been like 4 days since you actually did it, but whatever. Um, I thought it was nice what she did. She was like, I'm not going to sit there and come between you two, and I hope you understand that. All right, cool. And then she ruined it. It's like she had a really good moment, followed by a big, cringy moment of, oh, you two are so smoking hot. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, why did you have to ruin that? Also, Shen and Gabby promoted her, so maybe she'd be coming back to Salem. That'd be cool. Um, I would actually like if she comes back to Salem. Stephanie kind of confirmed when Steve and Kayla left that she would be, she was going to be coming to Salem a lot sooner because, they wanted her to visit. And she got a text, have no idea what it is. And so she's going to be going down there. Joey, he's not going to be working with his sister anymore. He says he's going to do something that's going to fit like his passion or whatever. Because I think that's the last time when he was in Salem, he was like he was going to be working for his sister. So I guess like a year and a half, and then it was like, all right, I'm out. 1 second. Now here's the thing about Paul and Andrew. You know, since Andrew got there, there's been this chemistry, this attraction, whatever you want to sit there and call it. The thing is, I don't feel like it's like a nice little side story, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, yeah, they kiss or whatever, and they're like, if we're in each other's cities, we're gonna sit there and hang out or whatever. But chapter two is done. So, like, it's not like they're going to be in Salem and they're going to be sitting there continuing their relationship. So, for anyone that was sitting there like, oh, you're really rooting for the couple or you thought they were cute, it was like, yeah, it was very short lived. So, I mean, granted, I don't really do the whole coupling thing anyway, but I feel like it was just very, I don't want to say useless, but somewhat pointless, I guess. So, I guess it's kind of the same thing. Hope was very quick to sit there and go down to that jail cell to get that quick annulment from Harrison. Now, Harrison tries to convince her that, what they had was real and, the reason why he didn't shoot her is because he felt something for her. Even though Hope was like, nah, it was because of blood loss. I think in her heart of hearts, she knows that. She knows that there was something between those two. Um, and he does sit there and say that he think that Megan did something to him, which is why he feels all hollow, and why he's been doing some of the things he's been doing. Because when you get programmed, you don't really know that you're programmed. You know, Trip. Steve remembered. Like, it's not like they're a blank slate, like they're a robot. They can still recall memories, which is why Steve, said what he said about Trip's, relationships, woes or whatever. So maybe it's possible that Megan did something to Harris. That's why he's been, you know, doing the stuff that he's been doing. Now, the whole time, now how do I sit and explain this? All right, let me start in a different direction. So, I think her name is Angela. Angela comes in with some good news for Bo after getting him to stop watching the TV and, obsessing over, them and wanting to intervene and constantly they're trying to break the rules. Um, Comes in with some good news. And the good news was that he gets a second chance. And I'm like, you know what? At this point, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. The fact that everyone has been just come back from the dead, like it just whatever. Yeah, the fact that everyone's been coming from the dead, from what I heard, this is totally right up their alley. Now, I know some people have been, kind of annoyed and kind of like, death doesn't really mean anything. Anytime somebody dies in Salem, they just come right back. But I remember, at least in the early 2000s, maybe 1998, or when I started watching it, whenever a character dies, what they usually do is they bring him back as a twin. And my question for everyone is, which one would you rather be? Would you rather them just actually come back, or would you rather them come back as a twin? Because I feel like doing the twin route is just so like, it's like them trying to find a way to fix a mistake. You know, oh, I killed off Collins. I'm going to bring back Troy. Um, oh, I killed off Louise. I'm going to bring back Lorenzo, or whatever the Alcazar twins' names was. And I always felt like after like looking like back in the day, I was really happy when the character would come back, but I was also still new to watching soap operas. And now I kind of look at them like, even what was the latest one? I think it was Finn, and then it was Silas Clay and things of that nature. And I look at it now and I just feel like it's just like finding a way to use whiteout. Oh, we can't use whiteout. We'll just copy and paste it or something like that. So I think that's really my question. Which one would you rather have? Them just come back from the dead because of Ralph or some other mad science stuff, or them just come back as a twin? So now that Megan's got all three prisons or whatever, Hope says she was going to sit there and continue her search. But yeah, now after Megan got all three of the prisons, um, she's set to sit there and wake up her lost love or whatever. And the whole time, they were meant to talk about brain tumors and this, that, and the third. And so my head was sitting there thinking, Stefan. From what I understand of what some of my subscribers have told me is that the actor that plays Stefano passed away. So I'm like, what are they going to sit there and do? Are they just going to get a new Stefano? Are they going to get a new actor sit there and play Stefano? How would the fans react? How would the fans take it? Now, Angela did sit there and say that Bo got a second chance. We find out the person that's in the cryo tube, which is Bo. Now, the whole time, she kept talking about, oh, I'm going to sit there and get back my lost loved one, my long lost, whatever. Even when she was facing off against Hope, she was talking about how apparently Megan and Bo were like high school sweethearts or whatever. So we find out that is Bo that they're gonna want to bring him back, and so that's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be really interesting. I think that's a really good hook. Um, to get fans to actually come back to sit there watch season three. Yeah, so I mean, all in all, as a separate side story, little side quest, whatever, I thought it was pretty interesting. My only issue, and I said this in my day's review, is that the stuff that goes on in Beyond Salem, for the most part, they don't really translate to regular, Salem. Steve was not there helping when Steve was helping Sean with the crib or with the stroller. I can't remember what they were trying to fix. He wasn't sitting there trading stories or whatever. Oh, you should have saw what happened. We was in beyond. We were in, Seattle. Me and John's, adventure and yada yada yada. He didn't talk about, you know, his time in Seattle at all. There was no marks on his face whatsoever. And so, they're going to be sitting there introducing some of these characters. I'm assuming that Wendy is going to be one of them. I know Stephanie is going to be another one. And so my thing is, they're going to have to give them a bit of backstory. Now, for the people that watch Beyond Salem, we're kind of all caught up with it. But I'm pretty sure they're going to probably do some little flashbacks and things of that nature to get people caught up because, well, let's be honest, not everyone actually paid the $4.99 to sit there and, watch it throughout the week. Um, but yeah, I think that's probably the one drawback. It works in a lot of ways because I guess they don't want them to have, they don't want the people who watch, the regular Days of Our Lives to feel like they're left out, by talking about all these adventures and things of that nature. This is why in season one, when Paulina and Eli and everyone got back, they didn't talk about Miami. The only thing that Paulina said was Miami was crazy. Like they just quickly brung up Miami and then said something and they just kept going. And that's what they did so far in season two. Um, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't know exactly when some of this stuff takes place because apparently 1 minute, Marlena's not there helping with, um, Sammy's wedding. The next minute she's flying off to Seattle, sit there and try to find John, and now she's back in Salem dealing with the fallout of Sammy and Lucas and everything like that. So there's a lot of stuff that's just like you kind of got to take with a grain of salt. As a fun little side thing, it's cool. It was fun to watch. And I'm gonna be honest, it was really great to sit there and see Steve again. Um, there was an interesting. If I can sit there and find a clipping of it, there's an interesting scene, a behind the scenes thing where they're doing a whole Paul and Harrison fight. And in the beginning, apparently there was only one. They were like they only had one breakable table. Like once that table broke, that was it. And apparently Steve did something with the hat, and he's during the fight or whatever, he actually slammed his hat on the table, and it broke. And they had to wind up using like clear tape and everything like that. Like even the actor that played John was helping fix the table, and they had to sit there and wind up redoing the fight scene again. Now, at some point, Paul knocks the remote controller, or no, the taser, out of his hand, and it lands on the table. And they're looking at it like, "Yo, we can't afford to sit there and break this table again." It's really funny. So if I can find the clip, I'll definitely sit there and put it in the description box below. But I feel like that's pretty much about it. I think I kind of wrapped up everything for the most part. So yeah. With that being said, I'm gonna go. Thank you for watching. Be safe. If you are a Bo and Hope fan, you should definitely tune in to watch Beyond Salem. But if you're wasn't really too crazy about that, you're not really missing much. I mean, you're not really missing much from like the day to day Salem stuff. So I would sit there and say you can kind of pick your poison from that point. With that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.